make me believe that there's stuff out
What
there.
if, man? What if?
What if that news reporter, when she was reporting everything and she was getting all emotional?
The fact that it's not on your list means we should end the show right now. What is wrong with you? We should make our own UFO doc and see what we
should.
All right. Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
You look good today. You look like you're ready to put a movie on trial to determine its fate for eternity.
Absolutely.
Hey, Nathan.
Hey, Rob.
Listen, I don't want anybody to find out, but today we're talking about Close Encounters and Disclosure Day. And should Disclosure Day have happened? Welcome to Should This Have Happened? I'm your host, Rob McCallum, joined alongside your other host, the always magnificent, spectacular, and amazing Nathan the Tater Slayer. Nathan, how you doing today?
Fantastic, Rob. How you doing, man?
I'm excited to be here and talk Disclosure Day. Of course, I want to thank our sponsors, Retro City Games, Game Cycle, and Noble Pie Pizza. Noble Pie is, of course, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Retro City Games is in Las Vegas, Nevada. And Game Cycle on Warncliffe Road in my hometown of London, Ontario, are on board helping us do this show just for you. Man, there is so much to talk about. I'm excited. A new Steven Spielberg film based on an original story is in theaters right now. Does that kind of thing get you excited? Are there other directors that get you excited like that?
Probably Scorsese. Can't even say his name right.
Who?
Scorsese.
Scorsese. Who is that guy?
Yeah, we got to cut that one out.
No, that is staying in.
We got to cut that out.
No, that's being in there. What movies has Marvin Scorsese done?
Marvin Scorsese. Probably The Departure, Wolf of Wall Street, Shutter Island. That was fantastic.
I was expecting you to say, like, instead of The Departure, The Leaving. Instead of Wolf of Wall Street, The Lamb, the Lamb of Bold Court.
Goodfellas. There's
An All Right Guy.
Martin Scorsese.
Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. That's cool. And where do you land on the Spielberg spectrum? Are you a fan of his? Is it too much hype? You can't deny he's been an iconic voice for the last 50 years.
He definitely has been an iconic voice. I absolutely love Spielberg. Everything from E.T., Jaws.
Okay, well, let's get to it. Before we get to Disclosure Day, and this week we're comparing it to Close Encounters, and there's a very specific reason. We'll get to it. I need to know your top 5 Spielberg films. That will determine the course of this discussion. So get ready to clip this, because you'll see this clip on the internet. Here's your hot take for top 5 Spielberg.
My hot take for top 5 Spielberg, probably Schindler's List.
Okay, is this reverse order? Like number 5, Schindler's List.
No. Number 1, probably Schindler's List.
We're starting right at the top. Okay, go ahead.
Number 2, probably Ready Player One. Number 3, I would have to say probably Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
Number 4, probably Jaws, and then probably number 5 E.T. But also Indiana Jones is pretty close to number 5. I'd say probably.
Which Indiana Jones? If you're going to say Indiana Jones,
it'd have to be Raiders.
Okay, so you're saying Raiders. So Schindler's List, Ready Player One, Catch Me If You Can, Jaws, and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's probably E.T. over Raiders, but it's probably such a close. If I had to do like an alternate for number 5, it'd be Raiders, but E.T. probably over.
I also have an alternate for number 5 as well. So here's my top 5, probably the most disappointing Spielberg list for anybody out there watching. The most disappointing Spielberg top 5 list, just for you, everybody watching on the internet. Number 5, I either have Close Encounters or Hook, which I know is so divisive already. Number 4, Jaws. Number 3, Catch Me If You Can. Number 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark, though I love Last Crusade more, but you can't have Last Crusade without Raiders, and Raiders is just so perfect on its own. And number one, of course, Jurassic Park. Like, it doesn't get better than JP. It really doesn't. The fact that it's not on your list means we should end the show right now. What is wrong with you?
I love Jurassic Park, but it wasn't the top 5 for me.
Not enough. Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah, over Schindler's List? Give me a break.
Okay, let's talk about Ready Player One being in your top 5 and how much of an interesting choice that is.
At least it wasn't my top 1.
Oh. Anyways, there's so many problems with both of our lists. We're just going to have to let it go and focus on today's discussion, which again is Disclosure Day, and we're pairing it with Close Encounters. And I told you the reason why we should pair it with. Do you remember what I said?
Yeah. So Spielberg did a interview where he talks about E.T., Close Encounters, and Disclosure Day. And so honestly,
Close Encounters first, then E.T., then Disclosure Day as like a spiritual thematic trilogy.
Yeah. And honestly, after watching both of especially Close Encounters and Disclosure Day, it feels almost like a continuation, or it could be. You know, it does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels so much like a continuation.
And you can see how E.T. slots into that story arc. Like after Close Encounters, somewhere else, E.T. visits Elliot, right? You can see how those events of Close Encounters lead to that. And then, of course, Disclosure Day. So this is going to be an interesting episode because it's not about did it follow all the rules that the first one set up and did so well as a first entry. This is almost like a thematic. What did it carry forward? Did it improve upon? What did it tweak? So I'm actually, this is a kind of episode I love, and I hope everybody out there gets excited because it's not about is it a good film or a bad film. It's never a good or bad film. What I love is what you say, putting a movie on trial. We're going to get to put this film, Disclosure Day, on trial to see if it lives up to Spielberg's kind of first alien entry, Close Encounters, which has a lot of fans.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that he's done 4 alien movies now. I always miss War of the Worlds.
Well, don't forget Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, too.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Oh, yeah.
Wait, you're just going to pretend that didn't exist?
Yeah, I'm going to pretend that one didn't happen.
Okay, that's fair. Let's get to the background.
All right.
You, my friend, are the synopsis sorcerer. So why don't you give us the synopsis for Close Encounters, which came out in, was it 76 or 77? 77. Okay.
Yeah, 77. And this is actually a really good synopsis. It's better than some of the other synopsis.
Well, already I'm excited to see what you brought to the table this week. This is honestly like one of my low-key favorite parts of the show where you give the synopsis. We never know if it's actually the original. And sometimes there's some hidden comedy gold. You're like, dude got a jetpack, took off, and beat the Nazis. It may be Indiana Jones. It may be The Rocketeer. We don't know. So let's hear the synopsis for this week.
All right. So the synopsis for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. After an encounter with a UFO, an Indiana electrical lineman becomes obsessed with discovering the truth behind what he witnessed. His search ultimately leads him to a historic first contact between humanity and extraterrestrial visitors.
Right. So is it really first contact? Not really, because clearly with what we see happening during that moment, we see that they've been lots of contacts before where other people have been returned. Spoiler alert, by the way, Close Encounters has been up for 50 years. Also, that's a very one-sided synopsis because I feel like there's 2 parallel storylines. There's stuff that's happening on the government side and then stuff that's happening on the personal side. And there's kind of like 2 personal narratives that we're following, mainly Richard Dreyfuss's story. But we keep crossing back and forth as the 2 sides kind of eventually merge at Devil's Tower in Wyoming. It's Wyoming, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought it was Australia. I always thought it was the big mountain thing in Australia. So when I was rewatching it, I'm like, when do they get to Australia? How does that happen? And then, well, they don't.
Now, Wyoming is apparently a very large extraterrestrial presence.
Oh, wow, interesting. That's I didn't even think about that till now. That's interesting. Cool. What's the synopsis for Disclosure Day?
Okay, so the synopsis is, if you found out we weren't alone, if someone showed you, proved it to you, would that frighten you? This summer, the truth belongs to 8 billion people. The story follows a cybersecurity whistleblower and a meteorologist with mysterious ties to extraterrestrial events as they uncover a decades-long conspiracy hiding the existence of alien life form or from humanity.
This summer.
I know.
Anytime I hear like this summer, this May, this holiday season,
in a world,
like I just can't take anything that happens is serious, like because I can't buy into it. I love it. That's pretty good synopsis, though. That is literally what happens in it, which is great.
Yes,
the unlikely combo of a cybersecurity hero turned terrorist and a meteorologist turned linguist from another planet. Yeah, those were, you actually did a great job finding something this week. Don't do a good job next week. Again, there's comedy there.
I will try not to do a good job next week.
From the box office,
we will have our taterisms.
Yeah, everybody loves a good tatering. The box office perspective, Close Encounters made 116 million overall, adjusted for inflation today. That's 638 million. Because we've only got opening weekend to go on for Disclosure Day, the opening weekend numbers for Close Encounters was 10 million, which is about 55 million. Disclosure Day looks like it has done about 92 million worldwide on opening weekend, which is pretty good. It's I think the highest earnings for Spielberg from an original story, if I read that correctly. What I found really interesting, though, when I dug into the box office stats, is of the 116 million that Close Encounters made, only 2 million was made internationally outside of North America.
Oh, wow. That is interesting.
So I don't know if it did not get a wide release. I don't know if there was some concern about the undertones of government authority, anti-authority, religious connotations happening there. If it was too much of a heady film and wouldn't translate or carry well to other markets, you would think like the follow-up to Jaws, though, would be carried by everybody, but apparently not. Apparently not. What do you think about this in terms of Spielberg's career? Any quick thoughts? We don't always do this unless there's like a marquee person, like, you know, Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones at 86 or whatever it was for Dial of Destiny. Tom Gunn at the age that he was doing when he's doing Maverick. Spielberg coming back to Aliens in 2026. What do you think? Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually, I think it makes a lot of sense. Like I said, you know, earlier, it almost feels like a continuation where like Close Encounters was, what do you do if we make first contact, right? This feels very much like what happens if 8 billion people find out at the, at the same time. You know, they've already made first contact, apparently. You know, what happens if everybody finds out at the same time? And I thought it was a really good take on it, even though I don't think it actually is a continuation, but it feels so much like one.
For him, it is. He's said this openly that it's part of that exploration. It's the trilogy of our experiences with something else that could be out there, and it comes 4 years after The Fabelmans, which is a somewhat autobiographical story that he wrote and was nominated for Best Screenplay. And prior to that, he did his version of West Side Story. And prior to that, he did Ready Player One. So aside from Ready Player One, this feels like firmly back in Spielbergian territory of fantasy, wonder, and whimsical mystery. And I don't know about you, but there were several sequences in Disclosure Day I thought, yeah, this is pretty great. This is top-notch filmmaking.
Yeah, it was. There was a couple parts though, and we'll get into this later, that I was kind of like, oh, that felt lazy, but we'll get into that later.
Okay, so let's jump right into it then. Let's talk about Close Encounters. Why did the original work? Did it work, and to what extent? What resonates over time from Close Encounters? Had you seen Close Encounters prior to getting ready for this discussion? Was this something ever on your radar? Did you avoid it? Is it? I don't know. Tell me about
your
feelings about that film.
Yeah, I watched Close Encounters growing up. I think my mom and dad were kind of fans of that movie, so I remember watching it when I was a kid. I've seen it a few times, kind of in my early adulthood, and Yeah, I mean, it was always a movie that, kind of sparked that curiosity of, well, are we alone in the universe? I mean, it seems kind of a waste to have that much space and be the only people that, populate the universe. So, it always kind of gave me that wonder of, are we alone? So
you might not realize this though, but I wouldn't call him a UFOologist or anything like that, but he is heavily into disclosure and accounts. And apparently Close Encounters is based on true things that happened.
Yeah.
Like right down to the T. Obviously he's woven in some, narrative storytelling so that we can follow a main character and have him sacrifice things for what he truly believes. And, no matter how much people think he's crazy, he's going to be driven until he, gets the answers he needs and all that great storytelling stuff. But apparently the whole visitation, the musical notes back and forth is apparently what happened. What do you think about him pulling real life accounts to tell this story?
Well, I think he gives an element of the human experience. I mean, obviously, if you're just making up the stories, I mean, they have to come from somewhere. There has to be some account of why we see what we see on screen for this. I mean, like, are the aliens, little green men, or do they look like us type thing? So, obviously, most of the extraterrestrial movies have got to pull from some sort of source, for us to, I mean, there's too many accounts of this. And, I mean, I think that those accounts are really going to influence the way that people make movies and those stories that come out for, UFOs and extraterrestrials. So I think he did a really good job, especially with weaving in the narratives, for the story. So
I love anything that asks, what if? Right? Because you don't have to buy into it, but what if? The imagination starts to run. Now, how did you feel? First of all, the visual effects in Close Encounters were like superb, especially at that time. It's like right at the same time as Star Wars. So it's like rivaling all that computer technology is really starting to, come into its own for the first time in a long time compared to traditional Hollywood effects. But what did you think about the ending of Close Encounters?
I think the ending of Close Encounters was pretty fantastic. The communication sequence. Well, the communication sequence between the UFO and the government, it wasn't typical. I mean, the way we think of communication is, through an actual language, and we wouldn't have thought that, musical notes or light patterns would be an actual communication. And the fact that they kind of brought that into it almost kind of makes you kind of dive deeper into, well, how would aliens communicate? How would, something that other than yourself communicate if there was no actual, language, or if there was a language barrier like that, right? I mean, you would have to
which is like what The Arrival is pretty much based on, right?
Exactly.
I think Amy Adams was like an anthropologist linguist. I'm sure that's wrong, but the whole idea is, how do we talk to these people?
Yeah, right.
Or creatures or beings or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. And I thought,
is it satisfying though when the film ends? Are you left satisfied?
To me, yeah, I was satisfied. I mean, it's kind of one of those bittersweet, endings. I mean, his whole family gets uprooted in the movie, right? And, he ends up going off with the aliens. His wife left him, his kids are gone, and, he goes off with the aliens. So you kind of start to wonder, it's like, I mean, his whole life is pretty much destroyed. Where's he going to go at this point? And, he's going to search more for the truth, and those answers are staring him right in the face. And it's like, what would you do at that? You know, and he goes off with them, and it was very kind of a bittersweet ending because he's going to go get the answers, but then you start thinking about everything he went through to get to that point. It's kind of,
it's given up a lot.
Yeah, it's got some tragedy. It's got some, you know, I don't want to say humor because I mean, you know, the humor part is kind of him coming to that point of, you know, where he's acknowledging that those answers are right in front of him, and he's just kind of and it's just kind of, you know, it's satisfying. I think it's a satisfying end. I mean, there's a lot of elements to it, and it really kind of touches on a lot of different emotions. So
okay, that's fair. Let's before we get to Disclosure Day, and we're going to get to it real soon, I'm going to segue that conversation saying I'm surprised I didn't see Richard Dreyfuss show up in Disclosure Day. Yeah. I thought for sure there would have been a cameo appearance somewhere in the archival stuff that we're going through, that there would have been a reference to the Close Encounters event. And even if we didn't see his face, we would have seen him like in a long shot walking off in archival stuff. Let's get to Disclosure Day. Okay, let's get to the sequel. What did this spiritual successor, what did this film add to Spielberg's exploration of alien and humanity intermingling? Did the film work for you? Did it improve upon what was laid out in Close Encounters? Is it too much of a retread? What went wrong? What went right? Tell me, for everybody, what's your hot take?
So I think what it added was kind of more of the conspiracy element to this movie, where, yeah, I mean, in Close Encounters, we follow more of you know, Richard Dreyfuss's character as, you know, as he's discovering, you know, we get into a little bit of the conspiracy element, but I mean, they don't hold Richard Dreyfuss back very, very much. Like, I mean, they just let him walk all over the base. I mean, some of that doesn't work for me, but so there's not much of a conspiracy.
There's more red tape at Disney World than Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, it's harder to get on a ride than it is to go see
chemical military installation.
Yeah, so you know, I think what Disclosure Day brings is more of that conspiracy element. I mean, very much
more government realism.
Yeah,
if you like government intervention and red tape, go check out Disclosure Day.
Yeah, trying to stop the people from finding out. Where in Close Encounters, it was like, who's this guy? Oh, okay, yeah, go on, go get suited up, let's go. You know, I mean, it was. You know, for me, that doesn't work in Close Encounters, but in Disclosure Day, there was very much a government.
The 70s were so different.
Yeah, and it also brings, like, you know, like I said, where, you know, 8 billion people are going to find out at the same time. You know, it brings that kind of a global scale consequence of what is going to happen when everybody finds out whether or not there are extraterrestrials. I mean, religions are going to be uprooted. You know, people's, you know, beliefs are going to be uprooted. You know, there's a huge impact to finding something like that out on a global scale, and I felt like it dove into that very realistically, and you know, that there are consequences.
You can't undo history, right? Like, once it's out there is no going back.
Right.
Let me ask you this though: what was actually happening in Disclosure Day? Because, okay, I like the film. I'm just going to tell you, I really enjoyed Disclosure Day. I thought it was a fun roller coaster ride. I love that it combined elements of sci-fi and thrillers. It made me want to believe. It made me want to see more of the archive stuff. I thought all the snippets that they showed were really fun, really great sci-fi touches that we'd never. Those are the stuff that you really want to see, right? You want to kind of believe in, like, you can't quite make something out, but you see it. But the film felt like it was a constant chase, like a constant, like, got to catch up. And I wasn't sure what the chase was really about. Was it about going after one of those 3 artifacts? Or was it about getting the archive? Or was it just about stopping the one person? Because if it's about any of those, that's a problem. Because the one guy could be killed, sure. They've already discovered that there's a whole bunch of defectors that could share information. If it's about the artifact, there's other artifacts, and that doesn't stop the archive from getting out there. So what was the chase really about?
I don't know. That's also a problem for.
So like Close Encounters is about the discovery and pushing to discover, like looking behind the tree when nobody wants you to kind of look, or everybody tells you you're crazy if you look. They don't try to stop you. They say you're crazy if you do that, but you do it anyways because you have to. This is more like I need to get it out there, and everybody's understands that that's what you want, and they're trying to stop you. And it's how far are you willing to go to get it out there? But I don't know that that's actually the thing, because like he said really early on, I'm just going to upload the archive now. Like, how would that have changed the film?
I don't think it would have. Honestly, every time they catch up, every time they catch up to stopping Disclosure Day, I felt like the main villain character, and I do not remember his name, but all of a sudden, Colin Firth, isn't it?
Yep, Colin Firth.
Yeah, Colin Firth. He all of a sudden he just sits down and he's just like, "Go ahead," I mean,
gives up. He's beat at the end. He's like, he literally will not do anything else, and he's like, I'm kind of tired.
I mean, even his henchmen kind of like just give up, and they're like, "You're not going to do anything," and they turn around and walk away. And it was like, to me, that was like, okay, well, I guess there's no real.
I understand the problem that you're having with that moment. It didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like he was convinced and won over to go back on the other side, like the side of right, instead of like we find out that his wife had passed away or something and he's bitter and closed himself down from everybody. But it didn't feel like he arced back to the other side. He did just accept things, but it feels like a neutral middle ground. It wasn't like all of a sudden he grabbed the gun and turned it on like his number one guy. I said, no, they're right. This actually has to get out now.
Yeah.
What does he really think that's going to happen? I mean, and there is a bit of a personal versus public parallel narrative. It's like, what does he think is going to happen if he lets people in, right? Versus like himself lets people in what he's dealing with as a human with the loss of his wife, and lets the world into his world and everybody knowing. Is it going to be so bad? But I'm really pulling straws to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Like you can see it, but it's not scripted in such a way that like bangs you on the head.
No, and I feel like they should have taken more time to, to hammer out that part of the story rather than some of the other things that they did. I mean,
there's a lot of cool stuff that they did, though. There's always the two. You got Colin Firth on the one side, and then you've got the other guy on the other side who were like working side by side, and they basically went two divergent paths. And then you've got Emily Blunt, the meteorologist, and then you've got the cyber dude, who was recruited because he had an experience as a kid, and Emily Blunt had an experience as a kid as well. And so like there's this parallelism, right? There's all these parallels that are of people coming together, which I think really helps build the design of the film. And you want to see how each side is going to balance off. But it never really, again, you've got this super powered object that you're told is dangerous in the wrong hands, but to what extent? Like you almost never see it go wrong, except for when dude grabs it by mistake.
Right.
We almost should have had like a pre-credit scene where something goes wrong with that.
Right. Yeah. And
what did you think of that MacGuffin, that alien artifact that was used for deep diving and basically, astral projection?
It didn't wow me. I mean, I get why they used it, but I felt, Emily Blunt's use of it. I felt like we were going to get some big wow factor out of it. I mean,
did she even we just did all she did was like project things into people's brains without using that.
Yeah. I mean, like she didn't need it until she made everybody disappear, and then that was really it. And then all of a sudden the artifact just kind of dissolves, and like there wasn't a big wow factor for me in that. I mean, some of the where we needed kind of we were building up to something. It was just kind of it was anticlimactic, right? It just kind of, it built you up, and then all of a sudden you were just kind of like stagnant, and then we're back to the chase scenes again. And there was never a big wow factor with any of the artifacts. Like, I was expecting it to go big, right? I mean, I
wanted a payoff for it, right?
Yes,
I wanted a payoff. Especially at the end, when, again, spoilers, they bring out an alien that they've been guarding, protecting, keeping alive. I thought he or she or it was going to do something with the artifact, so that it was bigger or being used in a different way that nobody saw, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. Again, if they would have had like 2 artifacts come together, because each side had one, right? Like the 2 halves of the power sword, and then this alien creature like shows what their real purpose is, that would have been something cool. I think my biggest problem is the film feels like episode 1 of what could be a really interesting TV show.
Right.
I don't mind all the chase stuff. I think that's all fine. And I love the disclosure and sharing all that stuff with the world. Like, I was getting chills at points with the recreations of what like news network broadcasts, look like on the screen and stuff.
And that news reporter, when she was reporting everything and she was getting all emotional, like,
I was getting emotional.
Really good scene. Yeah, that was a really good scene.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah, I was waiting for her to say, we are not alone, which is exactly what she says, which is awesome. But like, I want to see, okay, what's the next episode? How does the world deal with this? Where do we go from here? What does this mean?
Yeah, the ending was very much a cliffhanger, and it onto the did the ending work? I'll kind of go over that, but. It was very much a cliffhanger. It felt very, very much like episode 1 of a TV show. Yes.
Did the sequel understand the original?
Oh, like, yeah. I think.
Does it understand where Close Encounters came from and play off all the things that worked?
I absolutely, very, very well. I mean, it's about the search for truth. What if aliens actually did arrive, kind of first encounters things, I mean, for a lot of people, this is first encounter, obviously for the government, It's not, I mean, at this point, they already had in Disclosure Day a first encounter, but, for many people, Disclosure Day was the first encounter of, what was happening. Right. So, yeah. And, both films kind of touch on, the human element of what happens if we find out, curiosity, wonder, that search for truth. I think it really did understand the original remarkably well.
Yeah. I mean, that's no surprise. Spielberg was involved in the story with both of them. Obviously the same director. He knows what he's pulling at, and he's continuing the story that he started telling then, which is great. I got an even bigger question for you, Nathan.
What's that?
If you're in Las Vegas and you're looking for video games, where are you going?
Retro City Games. Where else?
Why go to Retro City? What makes
Retro
4 of their stores amazing?
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. All 4 of their stores are absolutely amazing. They're beautiful. They're well set up. Their selection is not hard to go through. Everything is, easy to navigate, easy to find. They have an amazing inventory collection.
Yes, what I love about them is all the they have all the common stuff, heavy hitters.
Yes,
like they have all the classics, right? Not just the common stuff, but the classics. All the Mario titles, all the Sonic titles. In well supply, Mega Man, Castlevania, Resident Evil. I
think we've seen Little Samson there. I mean, that was an amazing find.
Lots of eclectic. I mean, if you're a collector, you've got to go there. And one thing that I used to love doing in my city was take a weekend and visit all the different shops in town. And I love the idea of people going to Las Vegas and going, oh, I want to get some retro games. We're going to hit all 4 locations of Retro City Games. South Outlet Premium Malls, Henderson, North Premium Malls, and in the Forum shops too, man. The Forum shops and Caesars, they have a store.
And you know what else I think is probably the reason why people should go is their staff is absolutely amazing.
No, Doug and Nicole, who run them, are the best people in the world, but don't waste your time with them. They're just going to give you lots of good advice. They're going to tell you about things you didn't realize. They're going to give you so much information that will delight you that you'll be further down the collecting rabbit hole. So if you like video games, sure, talk to them. If you want to know about stuff you didn't realize, talk to them. But you don't have to make your life better by engaging with them or their staff.
Absolutely not.
Let's get to the standalone test, my friend. Does Disclosure Day work on its own, or does it actually benefit from Close Encounters being part of its DNA? Or in this case, I would even extend it to, does Disclosure Day work if it's not Spielberg directing this film?
Honestly, I think Disclosure Day is very much a standalone film. Does it benefit from Close Encounters? For those who know what Close Encounters is and has watched it, I think it very much benefits from it. But if Close Encounters never happened, that doesn't hurt this movie. This movie was it was fantastic. I mean, it had all the elements to stand alone. And even if Spielberg didn't direct this, I think this movie definitely would be able to stand alone. So
how much does it benefit from Spielberg, though, and benefit from Close Encounters?
Well, I think because
or is it just like, yeah, it could work without them, but the fact that it is Spielberg and the fact that he has done Close Encounters.
Well, let's put it this way. If Spielberg didn't do this film, I think we would have gotten a totally different film. But what I mean by what I said just a minute ago was, if we got this film and Spielberg didn't direct it, if it was somebody else and it had any ties to Close Encounters, this definitely could have stood alone. Okay. But because Spielberg did direct it, we absolutely got this film. And I think it very much benefits from Spielberg, his vision and what he did with Close Encounters. But
I absolutely think this just becomes another Alien film, and because it's Spielberg, it becomes something special. You take Spielberg out of this equation, I don't think you get half the magic that happens through performances, through style, through exploration of the material, because he kind of gets a writer story credit on this as well. I just think it falls flat if he is not involved in this film.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting all the visual callbacks, similar emotional beats, the fascination with First Contact, similar themes of, like I said earlier, the communication between, the extraterrestrials and mankind, so I mean, all those very much in Close Encounters and very much in Disclosure Day.
What is the fan breaking point, do you think? What's the one idea where fans looked at Disclosure Day and went, oh, if it didn't have this, or this did not work? We've talked about a few things that ruffled our feathers a little bit, some story ideas, some plot, some execution stuff. From, again, a story level, but what's the one kernel idea where you're just like, oh,
for me,
get rid of that?
It was a little slow.
Your hot take is that it was slow, and we're talking about in comparison to Close Encounters.
Well, I was about to, if you'll let me talk,
I won't. Not when you start.
You're gonna have to, because this is a debate. So, it was a little slow, and I think a lot of people that cannot handle those types of movies, that is going to be a breaking point for them. I think Close Encounters, I think both movies kind of are very similar as far as the pace as which the movie kind of goes. And if you do not like kind of slow burns, this movie is not going to be for you. It's going to be very much,
I disagree. I did not find this a slow burn. There is like no shortage of chases and weaponry and hiding. But for me,
the slow burn is coming
of action. There's a
lot of action, but that doesn't mean that it's not a slow burn. I mean, like you're not getting the payoffs at certain points that kind of keep you engaged. Like some of it, you've got to wait an extremely long time until the ending to get those payoffs. And I think I think that's the breaking point for fans where that
I disagree. I think there's enough gumdrops and gummy bears along the way to keep you satisfied until you get to that big caramel bar at the end that you want, where you get the caramel secret. I think there's enough candy along the way. The one idea, the fan breaking point for me, was if I have to see one more close-up of a mouthpiece being put in, like a bite block being put in Colin Firth's filthy mouth, and hear the sound of it going in there, that's the fan breaking point for me. I know, again, it's a hot take, but I don't want to see somebody slobber and somebody else's hands go into his mouth as he's gonna bite down on something. That was the breaking point for me. I'm good.
Yeah, I think the other breaking point is where Close Encounters very much was about mystery, first, and and then all of a sudden this big, alien presence at the at the end. Disclosure Day, I think, dives right into the conspiracy theory. There was not a lot of mystery. I think there was some mystery, but not as much as like Close Encounters. And the ending, you didn't get. I don't feel like you got that caramel at the end for the ending. I don't. I think the cliffhanger, and it wasn't as big as Close Encounters. I felt like it was
but the release was better. The release was better. I felt like, okay, I could finally breathe because disclosure actually happened. Whereas I don't know what happened to the man who ditched his family, went off with the alien children in the sky. It's like, okay, then what? Like, there is no release. It's just constant buildup with Close Encounters. It's like, okay, he went and did this, but there's no like giant payoff. You can say, okay, well, I guess he got what he wanted, but did he really? Or is he just so delusional that he just he's already lost everything, so he's already past the point of no return?
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's like, we got to get it out there. We got to get it out there, and finally,
well, I feel like it was obvious that Disclosure Day was going to happen, but it was obvious that Disclosure. I mean, that was kind of that's what I mean by there was no mystery. Like, we knew Disclosure Day was going to happen. I mean, it's in the title of the movie. That. I knew it.
Push for it though.
I think a lot of people could predict that Disclosure Day was going to happen, especially
every time. Just a lot of people are so smarty pants.
Okay, go do what you want. I think everybody and put in the comments. Did you know Disclosure Day was going to happen or not? Okay, but
tell people what to do.
I think that very end where the alien kind of tells. I think his name was Daniel Kellner.
Daniel Kellner.
Yeah, he gives him the message. Then Daniel turns to Emily Blunt and gives her the message. And then she comes and stands in front of and she just goes, listen. And then it ends right there. That was what I was looking for. I wanted the alien message, not necessarily that aliens exist.
I think the message was to listen.
No, she was about to say more.
No, I think the message was, you better listen, and it's to the audience. Start listening to what you're hearing around you right now as Disclosure happens.
I screamed, listen to what? Like, you just cut the movie off.
This is what I want you to listen to. You ready? I'm going to tell you. That's what was coming next.
They just shoved a bunch of Pop Rocks in her mouth, and but no, I mean, there wasn't a lot of mystery. There wasn't a lot of mystery in this. There was a lot of conspiracy, which I love the conspiracy, but I wanted more mystery surrounding it, and for me, that was a big breaking point.
I got a mystery for you.
What's your mystery?
It's where's the best pizza in the world? Are you a fan of pizza?
I am a fan of pizza.
Have you been to Calgary, Alberta, Canada?
I have been to Calgary, Alberta, but I have not been to that pizza place.
You haven't been to Noble Pie Pizza? Okay,
I have not been to Noble
yourself
Pie.
A favor. In honor of Disclosure Day, you're gonna have what we call Pizza Day, and you're gonna get a plane ticket. You're gonna get to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. You're gonna go to the back alley because this place is like a speakeasy back alley, entrance only. Incredible retro decor inside. The best pizza in the world. If you know something about me, it's that I love pizza. And this pizza is amazing. I would not shock you, I'm sure, if I told you that I could eat a whole pizza myself.
I say that I fly up there and we both go together.
Done. Sold.
All right, let's do it.
The question is, do you have their bikini bottom pizza or do you have the sweet cheeses? And do you drizzle a little hot honey on there?
Little hot honey, sweet cheeses.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, it's the kind of pizza that tastes so good, you don't feel like crap afterwards. It's the kind of pizza that tastes so good that even if you were to somehow, not that I ever did this, eat a whole pizza, you would still want to have more. It's the kind of thing that you actually book to go to Calgary for and then find something else to do around meal times. It's the kind of thing that you feel sad anytime you have pizza because it's not Noble Pie. Noble Pie is that good. They've been discussed in Forbes. The owners are incredible. They studied under New York pizza masters, then brought their own take back to Canada. They've been considered for reality show spots. They're just incredible folks. But that pizza is what it's all about.
Sounds like pizza I need.
If you're not in Calgary, Alberta, and if you are, you should definitely check out Noble Pie. They have limited seating. They only make X number of pies a day. They sell out all the time, so you're going to have to get on the hopper soon. And if you haven't gone to Calgary, time to book a ticket. Now, that's your reason. You can figure out something to do with the rest of your time. But mealtime, it's Noble Pie Pizza in Calgary. That's the one good idea I have for you. What's the one good idea they had in Disclosure Day? One of my favorite segments, of course.
Well, for Disclosure Day, I think, the concept around everybody finding out at once was probably the biggest good idea. It definitely develops, after the first contact, right? And I think that was the draw of, what is Disclosure Day? What are we going to see? And that's really what kept me in the seat. I think everybody finding out all at once and the consequences behind that to me was the big draw and the one great idea that they had, because not a lot of movies kind of touch on that. We always touch on the first encounters or that aliens are bad and, they're here to, destroy everything. And, but, this kind of had that, conspiracy of, they're all bad, but then they turn out to be just what we need them to be. And we're finding out exactly just, what the government has been hiding from us. And I thought that was the great premise and great idea for this movie.
I'm not sure about the stakes though. That's the only thing about it. It's like, okay, yeah, you can't rewind history. This is something you can't take back. But they never really painted what that would happen. And we never saw we never got to do the smell test of like, see, we need to keep this back as something like this or bigger could happen.
Right.
So I get it. But at the same time, I don't know. I honestly feel like if it happened today, there'd be so much complacency and people would just be back to posting pictures on Facebook or Instagram of the food that they're eating for breakfast that they tried to recreate at a restaurant, using household items that people just wouldn't care, right? They'd just be like, oh, aliens. Okay. Anyways, back to me playing Contra on NES or whatever it is. I think the one good idea that they had was that there is an entire government agency built around this stuff, and there's just that historical real world vibe that this thing exists, and you could see how it interacted and didn't interact with other things, not unlike Men in Black, but to a level with the evidence that made you feel like it was real and that their existence would be threatened. And it's like, of course, this is the real way that it's being handled as a shadow operative kind of thing. Private funded or whatever you want to call it. I think that's approaching it like this is on that level, and it's almost corporate corruption
Right.
At this point where it's almost greedy, where they've got to keep everything to themselves. That idea, that motivation versus Close Encounters, which it was like, what can we learn and enlightenment? This is a much more reflective of our current times. And I thought that was a really clever take to just make it like, I mean, of course they're the bad guys and they're the government, and it makes sense to go that way. But this could have been like just like faceless agents chasing them. Yeah. And the fact that they're so motivated because they don't want to lose control because they feel special as a result of it. And then they wouldn't feel special anymore once it's out there.
Right. And I think the time that, releasing this movie is spot on, kind of going back on what you said, as far as like our government or my government, releasing the UFO files and stuff. I'm sorry. You're in Canada. I know you're a dual citizen, but my government releasing the UFO files, this movie kind of touches on what Disclosure Day should look like, right? And when our government kind of released the UFO files, it was, I don't know, it was kind of a letdown, right? I was hoping to get like proof that
little green sausage or something.
Yeah, I little green men, but it was more of what you find on YouTube, right? It was kind of on a larger scale, but it was very much, like, I want to believe, make me believe that there's stuff out
there. What
if, right? And our government releasing was kind of a letdown. I was kind of like, I was really hoping, but this movie kind of portrays what I felt like Disclosure Day should look like, right?
Sure.
And the timing was perfect. I think UFOs are hot right now. Especially with the US releasing the UFO files, and I think
some of them, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah. So I think Disclosure Day was released at the perfect time as well. So
does the film get bigger or smaller? We're talking about escalation. Does Disclosure Day feel bigger than Close Encounters? The same size?
The action feels better or feels bigger, but the overall reveal of aliens, I think, was smaller. I don't know. Feel like it was smaller.
I feel like there was so much more to show. The vast amount of things that they showed was significantly bigger. And the problem with Close Encounters is if you don't buy into what that final showdown is, that final reveal, then the film is done. Like for you, It doesn't work. Whereas this had just lots of different kinds of archive based on different types of media sources, depending on the era that they're showing you the archive from. And that just helps kind of, the believability, the what if. So I think
like
the scale
was bigger, but the alien contact where they wheel, like that, the reveal of the aliens was very much smaller to me, where they had multiple ships in Close Encounters. They had multiple aliens that come out, they had multiple contacts. The entire movie for Disclosure was very much about, the buildup of Disclosure and then that final reveal of aliens. Yeah, the archive footage was amazing, but that's people seeing on a screen, that there are aliens. They're not seeing it, live, an actual alien. And then when they wheel that alien out and he stands up, that's your first, that's a lot of people's first interaction live with an alien. And it was very much smaller. It was that part was very small.
Yeah, but then it's trumped by the fact that everything gets released, right? So like it gets much bigger. So I think the reveals are equally as big. You like one aspect more than I do. I thought the films were pretty much the same scale. You're talking about people driving a great distance to find this thing. And Disclosure Day, I found it weird that it was like this big circle where they come back to where they started, which again, is probably by design. But going to Devil's Tower has its own charm as well. Government side, personal side, same kind of thing. So it felt pretty balanced to me. What do you think if this never happened, though? What if this spiritual successor, the sequel, Disclosure Day, never happened? Would there still be an appetite for Spielberg to do an Alien film? Would there be a call for like a proper Close Encounters 2? Where are you at?
Honestly, if this movie never happened, I don't think there would be a big call out for Spielberg to do another Alien movie. Honestly, I feel like, there wasn't much interest until the movie, trailer was released or the thought of this movie actually came up for people, to have this movie. I'm glad it exists, but for me, I don't think Close Encounters 2 was widely sought after. I don't think maybe early on it was, but almost 50 years later, I don't think people are calling for E.T. 2 or Close Encounters 2. I don't think a lot of people were hoping this movie would be released, but I'm glad it's here. I'm glad we got another Spielberg,
I think we're spoiled that he decided to do another Alien film. There's so much that could have gone wrong with it. And I think the film is very competently made. I think it explores idea that we're fascinated with. And whether you like the final reveal or not, or whether it's enough aliens for us, the viewer, versus the Alien archive that the world gets to see, which is where we're coming at it from differently. I think it furthers the discussion in that Spielberg is just delighting himself in the fact that he can do that and has the skills to pull off telling that story. I think we're incredibly lucky.
No, I think we're absolutely lucky, and hopefully this movie gets a lot of attraction, a lot of attention, and, becomes a cult classic like the other ones have, I dare to say that, the new War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise is a cult classic by any means, but I think E.T. Close Encounters, we're at a maybe a
I like War of the Worlds.
With,
there's some good stuff going on in that film.
Oh, there's some good stuff going on. Is it a cult classic? No, I don't think it's a cult classic, but Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, I think not Dial of Destiny, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, only the only reason why it's a cult classic is because of the other Indiana Jones. I think it was probably the worst one of all of them. So
before we get to the final verdict, okay, let me talk about something that is a bit of a cult classic. Game Cycle in London, Ontario, at Warncliffe Road. This place has a lot of history in my hometown. This place has supported Nintendo Quest and N64 Quest, Super Nintendo Quest. What do you think about Game Cycle in London, Ontario? You've been there. John, who runs the store.
Yeah. He's amazing, man. He runs a tight ship, man. He's got some great, classics. He's got some great, we've been there hunting for NES, right? Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. He's got a great selection, great inventory of all of that. And I think, his store is fantastic. You need to go check it out if you're in that area.
And dude, I tell you, the one thing that people don't talk enough about, yes, they've got all your favorite gaming stuff, current, retro, but he is quietly amassing quite the Blu-ray and DVD selection as well. And tons of deals, right? Like $5 TV seasons for stuff that is like 22 episodes per season, hour-long episodes, and it's like $5. Oh, man. If you love physical media, these are the kind of stores you need to go and support. And Game Cycle, London, Ontario, Warncliffe Road is right at the top of that list. You need to check it out. If you value not having to worry about your favorite streaming service pulling something off and just want to be able to put a disc in at any time, this is the place to go. Absolutely. Let's get to the final verdict. All right. Are you ready for the categories again?
I'm ready for the categories.
All right. Disclosure Day. Is this a necessary evolution? Is this a worthwhile mistake? Is it better than expected? Is it corporate but competent? Is it creatively empty? Does it betray the original? Or should it never have happened? And I want you to make your decision based on this criteria. Think about artistic value. Think about franchise impact, in this case, Spielberg and Alien stuff. Think about the cultural impact. Think about the emotional necessity, and think about the legacy. What is your final verdict, my friend, for Disclosure Day?
I think Disclosure Day is a necessary evolution. I think the continuation of, is there life out there? What happens if we all find out at the same time? It evolves from, Close Encounters, even though it's not an actual Close Encounters, reboot or sequel or continuation. It very much feels like it. And I feel like, this was beyond a corporate, just making money. Obviously Spielberg is very much into the belief that we're not alone. And, he portrays that in this. And I think, I think with artistic value and everything, we got a great Spielberg movie. I think this was a really good movie to make, and it really needed to be made, even if we weren't expecting it.
So I almost wanted to say the same thing, necessary evolution, but I'm going to go a different path just to be different. And I'm going to say it's better than expected. There's so many ways an Alien movie can go wrong. Yeah. There's so many ways that it can be hokey, that like horror films, that once you see the ending, you never need to see that film again. I think there's enough what if questions in this, and just looking at some of that archival footage will never stop the imagination gears turning. And I think, should something like Disclosure Day ever happen, that a film like this makes it just a little bit easier for it to actually happen. I think this is a worthy addition to his films that he's made. And again, I think we're really spoiled that he decided to do something that's so self-indulgent, because so many of us want to believe, and he's somebody that helps us believe when he's doing what he does, when he makes something from his heart. So it's great. What are your final thoughts? Anything? I know you usually 3D print something. Did you 3D print something this time?
I 3D printed something. This one was hard to
show me.
Well, hang on. Let me explain. This was hard to figure out what to 3D print. I could do an alien, but since we don't really get to see very much close-ups of the aliens and kind of any particulars, I didn't want to just pick any random aliens. So I picked something from Close Encounters, and I thought this would be very much an honor to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So I printed the Devil's Tower. Since he spent most of the movie trying to shape it out of mashed potatoes or clay or dirt, I thought this would be fantastic. And if you want this 3D print, all you got to do is comment in the on our feed and let us know, and we will pick somebody out of the comments to receive this gem, the Devil's Tower.
I'm going to ask you something, since you have the Devil's Tower there, and you were mentioning spending a lot of the film trying to recreate this image that he had in his head. I know this. Have you ever done something on the level that he did, where he starts putting plants and trees and bushes through the window and shovels and stuff, and your significant other is just like, I don't know how much more I can take of this, Nathan?
I feel like that's a daily thing with me.
Okay, fair. That's fair. That's fair. I guess the question I have is, how far are you willing to go for that thing that you just need to get done?
Yeah, I think she would agree that there's either 0 or 100. There's no in between. So if I'm set on something, I'm going to do it.
Yes,
but thankfully she hasn't left me, so I don't have to go with the aliens.
We're gonna leave it at there. I definitely believe in following your heart, no matter what other people say. So there's a little bit of Richard Dreyfuss in me too, I suppose. What are any final thoughts? Any last words that you want to share with our wonderful viewing audience who's taken the time to listen to our discussion on Disclosure Day and Close Encounters?
Well, with that ending, I hope there is more to it. I hope there's a Disclosure Day 2 or a continuation of the story. I felt like we were left on a cliffhanger, and now I want more.
We should make our own UFO doc and see what
we should. We should. Oh yes.
Oh, this is the start of something.
0-100, baby. Let's do it.
All right, you'll find us next time from Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should actually go there.
We should. We were, when Jay and I were coming back from Las Vegas in Super Nintendo for Super Nintendo Quest, we actually went through Wyoming, and that was one of the places that I was like hoping we would pass. We didn't go past Devil's Tower, but it wasn't too far away. And if we weren't trying to, we may have stopped a few places to check some things out. But yeah, we need to go to Devil's Tower.
All right.
I know somebody in Wyoming we can go visit.
I like it. We're going to have to probe them. Not probe them, but like ask them questions. That would be weird. Okay. Good catch. We will see you next time. If you're watching us here, you know where to watch us next time. I'm one of your hosts, Rob McCallum, and that's me signing off. And for my good friend, Nathan, the Tater Slayer.
Bye, everybody.
And remember, listen.
You are
listen to what? My mixtape?
Okay. Yeah, that ending. Yeah, it left me wanting more.
You didn't listen then, Nathan.
I was listening. I wanted to hear more.
Put your freaking ears on, man.